All right. Today, I'm going to answer a couple of questions I received from a couple of Indian women. Um, I, I'm flattered and honored that some women consider me worthy enough to give them advice about women. I mean, I'm a man, so advising a woman is. However, I accept the honor and I'll do my best to answer these questions. Now, these questions are primarily about domestic abuse and relationship advice in relation to their husbands. So, I'll do my best to answer them. Now, I'm not going to reveal identities and I've changed specifics. So, feel free to watch the video and put your comments and thoughts below. But please, my only request is keep in mind that these women who have asked for advice or opinion are facing difficulties and are being oppressed. So they are not asking for your pity, but make sure that the advice that you give is constructive. That's all I'm asking. Don't simply bash them up, and it doesn't help. And I will not censor or I will not delete any comments. So just be mindful what you put. Okay. Before I start advising women, Indian women, I don't know, I don't want to comment on Western women because their cultures are different and tradition and upbringing. See, now for Indian women, I just want to focus on them. The challenge is, I think the biggest challenge is, your upbringing. Okay? Whether man or woman, your character is defined by your upbringing. So if your father and mother empowered you, okay, empowered you means taught you being independent, taught you skills, strategies, decision making process, not what you learn in school, then you'll be an empowered individual. If your father and mother pampered you, you'll be a pampered individual and you'll be soft. You will have a sense of entitlement. If you are one of those whose parents, oh, my daughter is so smart, oh, my daughter is so amazing, law, you do not know my daughter, this and that, then obviously you will grow up thinking, oh, no end of yourself. At the same time, if you are born and raised in an abusive family, sadly, in some cases, this is really shocking if I have to tell you this, but there are some fathers who have sexually molested their own daughters. There are parents who have not supported their children. There are parents who keep reminding their children, oh, you're a mistake. You should have died. Why are you born? I grew up in that kind of household where my stepfather and my mother kept reminding me I'm a mistake. I should have died. I shouldn't have been born. Maybe it was their way of, I don't know, parenting. They thought that they were doing saying or doing the right thing. And then physically beating me up violently. Huh? We're not talking normal beatings. We're talking of real violent beatings to the point where blood used to come out from my skin because of punctured wounds. And then not guiding, not being there, I never even had an opportunity where I could sit and talk to my father. I used to always see these TV programs. Son is sitting next to the father on the father's lap and they will talk and mother will sit on the table. I never had that. So I never had any guidance. I was just lost. I had to formulate my own views of the world. So now, one is depending on the household that you come from. Now, I think the biggest challenging thing is, what if your parents are never there at home? And on top of that, another big challenge is, what if your parents do not know how to raise you up? There are a lot of parents who follow very traditional, outdated, prehistoric model of bringing up children. Hey, doggy. He's staring at me. So their job is, our job as parents to give you education, and you finish your education, then you do your own thing. So there are people also who have good intentions, but they don't know how to raise their kids. They'll say, oh, pray to God, God will help you. Oh, always respect your nana and your grandma and take their blessings. Oh, pray to Shivaji, pray to Shiv Bhagwan and Jesus Christ, and bend over to Allah and He will bless you. So the intentions are good. It's not that they are bad people, but that doesn't produce any results. And then the worst one, I think, being submissive for the sake of submission. So now see, there are many variables. There are many variables. Okay. So it all depends on, one is your family. And the second one is your environment. What kind of friends did you have? What kind of school did you go to? What kind of people did you hang around with? And what kind of people do you hang around now? So based on this, your character is formed. Let's say, for example, you are surrounded by fighters, people who physically hit and beat and fight and all that. You will think that, okay, everything can be sorted out by fighting. If you are born in a household where arguments and shouting, screaming is a norm, this is what you will do. Or if you were born in a house where everyone was sweet, happy and nice, you will also be sweet, happy and nice. Now, the other problem which you need to understand is, if you're born in a good house, but they didn't teach you the realities of life, they protected you from it, then you have a skewed perception of life. Like, for example, my daughter, my little baby girl, me and my wife have raised her until now being very polite, asking things. There are so many times where if I give my baby a chocolate, she'll say, Swadika, like, she'll bow, she'll join her hands and do like a namaste and please, and she'll say thank you, and she will raise her hands to show respect, and then after I give it to her, she'll give me like a hug, and then if I want it back, I take it back. Then she says please again. In fact, sometimes when I just grabbed it from her to see how is her reaction, she doesn't fight or nothing, and that leaves me worried, because tomorrow if she goes to school or somewhere, she will assume that everyone is loving, caring and sweet and nice. And in fact, once we had a small boy play with the daughter, when that guy started to pull her hair, small boy, I don't know what, just all of a sudden, I was not there, my wife was there. If I was there, I'd have slapped him. He started pulling the hair, he started punching her, and she started wailing and crying, and she didn't even know how to protect herself. She just kept crying. And if anyone grabs her toy or grabs what she has in the hand, she doesn't know how to ask. So I have to train her that the world is not a sweet, nice place. I have to train her that there are evil people out there. In fact, having a daughter, I need to train her that there are pedophiles, that there are people who will sexually try to take advantage of her. She might even get raped. I have to teach her how to protect herself, because I have been raped, I have been molested. So these are very serious things, these are very serious things that have to be taught. In fact, sometimes, she plays with our doggy, a small doggy, guard dog. And because I have trained that dog is very docile when it's surrounded by us. But sometimes she sees some other dog and she thinks that is also a sweet dog. That dog might bite her face off, So the main thing is the involvement of the parents is primary. And then the factors that play in of having friends, family, school, that also determines your personality. In my case, I was bullied by all the guys in school, church, below my building. I was always bullied. That's why I grew up to learn to live alone. I want to be alone. I don't want to have friends. I was never popular. I was never the happening guy. And that in turn made me independent, which is good. So now, these are the factors you can't do anything about. But now comes after you leave the nest, or after you get married. Now there are two choices here. One is you continue being the same old person, or you change. In most cases, people don't change because they're comfortable in their own skin. And after marriage, they change a few things here and there, but nothing much. Like they might become more confident, they might become more arrogant, they might be more humble and understanding or whatever. But drastic changes happen only with drastic incidents. Keep that much in mind. Like, for example, me, until the age of 36, I was a carefree, egoistic, self-righteous bum. Getting money, spending money. I didn't give a fuck. But 36 was where I had that incident. You must have seen my video, 2011, Loy Macedo suicide. That was where, when my world fell apart, I knew for a fact, if I have to survive, or if I choose to live, I cannot be the same old nice Loy that I used to be. I have to be tough, rough, money-minded, and change. And that is where I have changed to where I am today. And every step of the way I had to become a different person. Like today, when I have a wife and kid, I have to be a different person, no? So the main thing which I want to tell you is, after you leave your parents and your family and you're independent, you can either continue being who you are or you can change. Okay? And change, extreme change, comes with extreme situations in life. Now comes marriage. Marriage and its challenges or problems. Now I'm pretty sure most of you who are writing to me or who have issues and problems, it's because there's something challenging happening in your marriage. Now I'll tell you the key problem is, the biggest problem is money. See, if you were earning a lot of money, if you were earning more than the man, and you are financially independent, you wouldn't have to give a fuck. Okay? You could pack your bags, do your own thing, move away. But now, there are cases where a woman earns more, but she still sticks to her husband. Then the problem is not money, the problem is you. Your sense of self-worth, your mental status, your emotional status, and that nobody can help you. Nobody can help you other than you. Okay? See, I know it's very easy for me to advise and very easy for me to say, oh, it's... The problem is, you have to take those actions. I can only advise. Anyone can advise. 110 people can give you their suggestions, advice, do this, do that. But then, are you willing to do what it takes? And, you know, we keep asking the whole world, oh, give me advice. You're a grown-ass person. You know what is right and wrong. I mean, are you a 14-year-old or 12-year-old or 11-year-old? No. You're a grown-ass person who is an adult. I mean, can't you use your common sense? The reason you're not using your common sense is not that you don't have brains. It's that you're seeking validation. It's that you are constantly never taking charge of your life. You have given the charge to someone else because you don't want to take charge. You don't want to be in charge. That's why when you ask other people's opinion, oh, okay, thank you for guiding me. No, you need to take charge. You need to put your foot down and say, no, I am not going to allow this to happen. You need to take the leadership. And is it going to be tough? Of course it's going to be tough. You know, like, for example, a kid who bullies other small children, you'll always notice the bully is big, the kids are small, and they'll push and this and that. But the day the small kid says, I'm not going to take this shit, and stands up, the bully will try again, beat and hit. But the minute the small child gives a sock on the face, the big guy will also beat. They'll both beat, hit each other. But eventually the bully will know, fuck, if I hit this guy, the guy will hit me. Why to take drama? Then they might try bringing 2-3 guys. But if that small one does not give up and brings 2-3 guys and bring parents, it becomes so painful and ugly. The bully will say, fuck, this is not worth it, man. So in the same way for you, when you decide to suddenly take charge after years of oppression, the guy will be like, who the fuck you think you are? And, you know, they will try to exert more pressure. But if you give back and don't stop, whether emotionally, whether verbally, even whether physically, at some point they'll be like, fuck, this is not worth it. Because I'll tell you, when you make it a do or die thing, no? Either you die or I die, there are not many people who are willing to take that risk. And I'll tell you, 99.9% of the men are fucking cowards. Okay? The men who abuse their wife, abuse their kids, they are cowards. And that has been proven when they expose these guys on social media, when they bring the police, when they bring the law. That is why you'll see abusive men who abuse their wives and who abuse their children. When they are brought out in the open in front of other men who are big and strong and in front of society and cops, they don't have any balls. So you need to take personal charge. And like I told you, the first problem is money. Okay, if you are financially independent, that you can take care of yourself, then you need to fucking move out. Take a decision, move out. But if you're earning so much more and you're still sticking in the relationship, the problem is not the relationship. The problem is you. Your mental state of mind. Your emotional state of mind. And now I'm very sure you'll ask, Lloyd, what is the solution? What is the solution? You know, someone should slap you. Slap you until, you know, it's just so painful. Stop, stop, stop. Someone should keep slapping you till you say, okay, enough, 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 stop. Please don't hit me anymore. Not please. Stand up, hold that fucking hand and say, don't fucking, you know, hit me anymore. That's how it should be. Not, oh, please stop, please stop. See, for example, let's say a husband is hitting you physically. Take a fucking knife and stab him, man. Stab him in the thigh, stab him in the other thing. You know, just slice him. Fuck, he'll be scared. You think he'll not be scared? You think he'll not want to back off? Let's say he's trying to hurt you and you'll threaten to fucking put the whole house on fire. Or you'll call the cops. You think they have the balls? They don't, man. Even, see, some girls say, oh, he'll try to rape me. Just tell the guy, you know, I'll make sure that I bite a part of your flesh, your neck or your skin or even your penis, and I'll bite it so hard and rip it off. Which guy would want to have sex? Tell me, which guy would want to rape you if you're about to bite a chunk of their flesh or their face or their nose or... Fuck, they'll be like, oh, no fucking way, man. Or if they know they're going to rape you, and you take a sharp object and stab them somewhere. No man wants that. Trust me, no man wants that. See, these people who throw acid on women, they should be caught, tied up, made to lie down, and drops of acid should keep being put on their face until the whole jar is empty. Same thing what they did to the woman should be done to the man. Then it's fair. You know, when they rape a lady, take them and get them raped. Get them raped and humiliated until their fucking asshole tears. You know, that's why do I endorse, if a man rapes a woman, especially a child, his balls should be chopped off, finish, jaw, balls and dick. Then automatically all the pedophiles, all the rapists, they will stop because they know, fuck, I'll not have my balls and my dick. Seriously, that should be a punishment. And those people who are saying this is inhuman, I hope they endure this. Maybe the rapist should stay with them. Let them enjoy those benefits. See, we live in an animalistic world where you need to take charge. Being docile is not the answer. I'll give you a simple thing. My wife, before she married me, she married this thin, skinny Thai guy. Okay? He used to literally be ashamed of my wife. Seriously, huh? He was ashamed of my wife. He never put her photograph on Facebook. He never introduced, that time when my wife was married to him, she was young. He never introduced her to his friends. He never introduced her to his family. He kept her locked up in the house. He was ashamed of her. Ashamed, huh? And whenever friends used to come home, he used to make her like a servant to serve alcohol and peanuts and this and that. And then when all that became a norm, then he started forcing the wife to drink alcohol. He would sexually try to touch her in front of us. She didn't like it. And very soon he used to grab her and try to push that alcohol bottle in her mouth to drink. And when she would repeat, he would punch her, beat her. This continued for some time until she couldn't take it anymore. And one fine day, she informed the parents. And he used to keep telling her, nobody will marry you, you're fucking ugly, you're a piece of shit. One day, she couldn't take it anymore. She cried and told the parents. Parents immediately said, come back, come back. We don't give a fuck about what society will say, that your name will spoil, nothing. And the funny thing was, her husband's mother said, "Ah, you bitch, nobody will marry you, this and that and all." And for months, my wife was afraid in the house, scared, because she was scarred. Then she had a second relationship. Unfortunately, that also turned the same way. Then finally, she decided, I'll not marry a Thai man. She never wanted to marry a foreigner. She always wanted to marry a Thai man. And she never wanted to marry someone with a tattoo. She always wanted to marry someone who looked good, nice, decent. So finally, she put herself on Thai Cupid and decided, I'll marry a foreigner. And she got a lot of old men who wanted young, small girls. They were responding to her. And lo and behold, one day a tattooed guy sent her a message. You want to marry, yes or no? If yes, contact this number. This Facebook address, whatever. She didn't respond because she was horrified with the tattoos. Eventually she added, but I was busy working. And she was wondering, why am I not responding even after being added? After 3 days, got in touch with me, and the rest is history of our marriage. Told you how it is. Now the funny thing is, her husband was a factory laborer, cleaner and this and that. He used to earn peanuts. I think he used to earn $150, $200 a month. Less than 150 maybe. Not too sure. The second one was earning even less. And they were like staying in a hut, in a dilapidated hut. And in fact, they couldn't afford that. So they used to stay in a sharing bed space. Okay. No AC, no nothing. From there, now she is having this life. Now the funny thing is, both her husbands, her first husband and boyfriend, both send her messages. Both say, how are you? They wish her Happy New Year. They say, so happy you have a daughter, this, that. They keep sending messages. My wife has informed me. I said, let it be. And even after she blocked them eventually, they create new accounts to follow her. And the mothers and fathers of, not the fathers, the mothers of these abusive boys, they want to add my wife now and keep in touch with her. So I'm not trying to say that the solution is get a better husband. No. The solution is first take a decision. You need to first take a decision that, no, I'm not going to take all this shit anymore. And then when you stand up for what you believe, your worth, then slowly things start to fall into place. You need to take action. If you don't take action, how will your life change? Just by planning, things don't change.